Okay, so this test video is about Honda powered positive pressure fans like we carry on almost all of our structural firefighting trucks. Let's talk about it. Honda 5.5 horsepower, 4-stroke engine. 4-stroke engine meaning it carries its oil in a crankcase down at the bottom. Fuel, not mixed. Straight gas in the gas tank up above. Okay? Straight gas, oil down here. As opposed to our 2-stroke engines where the oil is carried within the gasoline at a 50-to-1 mix in the gas tank. Okay. Gasoline, very self-explanatory. Check it here. Oil. On these Honda 5.5 horsepower engines, there's 2 places you can check the oil. There's a dipstick with kind of a white cap here. And on the other side, there's a dipstick with a black cap here. Honda does that because this engine can be in a whole bunch of different configurations, and so they make it versatile. For our purposes, almost all of our Honda 5.5 horsepower powered equipment on the right side with the white dipstick is where you want to be because there's a lot more room for your hand. Okay? It screws in, screws out, and there's a dipstick on here, all right? But the thing is, when it's at the proper level, if this thing is sitting level, the oil is right to the bottom of the threads. If you zoom in there, you might be able to see it. So the dipstick is almost not necessary. If you tipped it a little bit my way, you would see that the oil would run out, okay? That's where you want to check the oil, and you want to check the oil before the engine runs if you can. It's not too big a deal, but before the engine runs, it's not as hot down here and you're not going to burn yourself. All right? Operating controls. On this engine, there's basically 4 operating controls. There's an ignition switch here, labeled off and then on. Off, arrow points it off, on. That controls the ignition, that controls the spark. This is the choke. The little picture shows you the choke is for starting, and we want the choke to the on position in the direction of the arrow for starting. This is the fuel, off and on. The arrow denotes fuel turned on for running. Okay? This is the throttle. Throttle up, throttle down. All right? We want to store these engines so that you only need to do the minimum amount to get them started. So here's what we've decided. The choke will be on. The gas will be off. The throttle will be somewhere in the middle position. And the ignition switch on. The only thing you should have to do to get this thing to start up on a truck check or on an emergency is to turn the gas on, moving that lever to the on position, pull the starter rope. When it fires up, you're going to move the choke to the off position. Choke for starting. Once it starts, slowly move it to the off position, throttle up as you need. All right? So on shutdown, it's really important. You're going to shut this thing off with the ignition switch. Once it's shut off and you're ready to put it back in service or store it back in the truck, you want to make sure the ignition is turned on. You want to make sure the choke is on, the gas is off, and the throttle is somewhere in the middle. Honda 5.5 horsepower, 4-stroke engine, powers gasoline fans, it powers water pumps, and a smaller version powers our TNT pumps. We have a lot of these 4-stroke Hondas. They all operate basically the same.